completely different podcast. Um, because I'm actually doing this live completely on both YouTube and a special link that I put up on social media. So I'm kind of taking this whole podcast thing to the next level. So if you see my head kind of pivot and kind of go back and forth, I'm watching like multiple screens, totally crazy. So if you're only listening to the podcast, keep listening on your favorite podcatcher. I love it. But take some time to actually have a look at some of the live video stuff. Like we've been doing video for a while, but now I'm kind of trying it a little bit differently. Where, listen, for those of you who don't know, when I do this podcast, I don't do like 50,000 takes. Even when guests come in, I don't tell them we're gonna edit and tweak and stop. Like no, we just go. So I figure since I'm doing this kind of live anyway, why not try it out? Like it's actually pretty interesting. So anyway, so I'm watching multiple screens and I'm watching myself on one side on YouTube and I'm watching my other side here on this the special link that I put up on Instagram. So I'm totally watching. In fact, I'm looking at the YouTube one. I don't even know if it's actually broadcasting properly. It might not actually be, to be honest with you. Like, I'm looking for this one particular setting here right now. Give me one sec. Let me see if I can figure this out. I think I'm actually unlisted right now. Oh, I am. Okay, let's go public. Boom. Now I'm actually, I think, public on YouTube. So, for example, there's something I'm learning right there. I didn't realize that. I gotta click a button to go public on YouTube. I might not have anybody on YouTube watching because I didn't really advertise it, but this is what I like to do. And listen, this podcast, we talk a lot about business. Yeah, we talk about mortgages and all that other stuff, but we also, as a business owner, I try new things and I want to see, I like to push the envelope. Anyone on my team knows that I'm always kind of pushing the envelope and trying things. And that's how you succeed at business, really, right? So, anyway, so if you see me on some of those platforms, make sure you say hello or I'm not even monitoring the chat, to be honest with you. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right. Listen, let's get into the actual meat and potatoes here. So, I missed last week. So I have now missed last week, and then I missed Canada Day long weekend doing a podcast. And like, I'll be honest with you, I've been really, really busy. And knock on wood, uh, I'm kind of lucky because I've got some incredible clients. I've got some incredible partners that I work with, and a lot of the hard work is paying off. Like, let's just call this what it is, right? And I don't hide behind that. I'm not shy about it from the standpoint that I'm pretty proud of what has gone on. So I love helping clients, but with that being said, where the last couple of weeks has been just crazy, crazy busy. Like, what does busy mean? Maybe is the question here. And the answer to that is I've just had some really complex applications, like some really complex apps. And, it's one of those things where I think that's arguably what makes me really successful is the ability to take a really complex file and try to break it down and try to get it approved and go into those challenging situations. And that's really what I've run into. And I think the few things that have really, I think, slowed me down or made me busy, we'll say, are appraisals. So a combination of appraisals and the fact that people are actually putting in conditions now. So back when 2021, 2022, everyone just went firm on everything. My job was actually pretty easy because any good mortgage broker or agent will tell you you can't tell a client, oh, just go firm, knock yourself out, we'll just approve whatever you buy. It's not how it works. So you give the client warning, you help them as much as possible, you explain to them the risk. Are they a high risk, a medium risk, a low risk, or whatever? And if they choose to go firm, they go firm. Knock on wood, I've never really had a situation where I told a client, you're at low risk and something went sideways. It was first time for everything, but not yet. And so in this case, when there's conditions in, I got to get things done quick and on time, which means I got to push underwriters to go faster, appraisers to go faster, which is fine because we have great partnerships. It's a little more stressful. And then when you have an appraiser who doesn't quite know what he or she may be doing, okay, or something weird comes back on the appraisal, or there's weird zoning, and that's what drags your time down big time, right? And listen, the one thing I noticed right now, if we're talking about a bit of a market update, I noticed clients are really looking for a deal, kind of that unicorn out there that maybe it's not perfect. It doesn't have a perfect basement. It needs updates, or newly renovated, but there's still some hiccups, or there might be some issues with the property or whatever. So a lot of clients are looking for those deals right now, and it's fine. It's just you got to make sure you manage expectations, and clients have to understand that I'm not the appraiser, really. I'm a agent. I go between you and the lender, and then I really facilitate the communication between everybody. So it's not up to me whether or not there's an issue with the property, or whether or not the lender likes or doesn't like it, but it also comes down to me for how I present it to the lender, right? So anyway, dealing a lot with that right now, where we've just got some kind of just some really tricky applications, right? So um, yeah. So sorry, I was looking at one of my streaming links here. I'm not even again. I'm pretty sure it's working, but who the heck knows? I guess we'll find out soon. If nobody joins this thing, and I'm just kind of doing this for, for lack of a better term, kind of. Am I allowed to swear? Can I swear in a live feed? I don't know if I can swear in a live feed. Am I allowed to do that? I don't even know. But anyway, whatever. I won't swear just for now. I'm still going to mark this explicit, but I'm not going to swear just for now, okay? All right, so before I get into some more of a market update, I just want to mention next week, we have an incredible podcast coming up, all right? I've got two folks that, again, I'm probably going to completely lose control of the podcast because they are incredible guests. One is going to be Madeline Towns, and Madeline is, in my humble opinion, I've never met her in person, but I kind of know her because of her social media persona, and we're going to talk about that. So Madeline Towns is a great realtor with, I don't know which office, but she's Remax out of Hamilton, I believe it is. And I first kind of got to know her a little bit from her social media, and then I mentioned her in a podcast with another guest, and so I mentioned her. I tagged her in the social media post, added her as a collaborator. She was all excited about it. I said, you know what? Like, your social media is pretty unique. I said, would you like to be a guest on the podcast? And she's like, sure. And then, of course, I asked Lacey Morrison, one of my social media friends, hey, do you want to come on this podcast? It would be like the three of us, right? And she's like, yeah, of course I would. So next week's podcast, so episode 21, it's going to be Madeline Towns, Lacey Morrison, and myself talking about real estate, okay? Talking about what Madeline sees in the industry, talking about social media trends. There's going to be some really cool things in there, okay? So if you want to have a look at Madeline's Instagram, all right, she is Madeline, spelled Madelyn, but also check out her TikTok. And I'm just going to fire in there and just get her TikTok for you because it's they're very different. Sorry, I'm a guy. I can't do more than one thing at a time here. One sec. This I think is it right here. Probably not, but let's give it a yeah. Here it is. So under her TikTok, it's her full name. So Madeline, Made, well, geez, I can't even say this properly. MadelynTownes. Madeline Towns, spelled there's an E in Towns, and then Madeline's with a Y. And anyway, so the reason why I think she's pretty cool, and the reason why I would have her on the podcast, is her TikTok videos are a lot longer, but they kind of tell a story, and she's pretty real about stuff. Like she kind of again, I don't know if I can swear on this, but she kind of calls bullshit if she needs to. So I like that, right? I like real, and we're gonna talk about this on our podcast next week. Social media's got to be real. If you've noticed, my social media has changed a little bit, okay? And we're going to talk a lot about that because we want to talk about the real estate market. We want to talk about realtors, mortgage brokers. I've got a really funny story to talk with her about, but we're going to talk about the about keeping it real on social media. Okay, that's next week. That's Madeline Towns. All right, moving on back. If I can find the right damn window to look at, let's go right here. Okay, so let's go market. I want to continue on with the market conversation. So here's what's going down with the market. All right, and I got some numbers I want to float to you. We're going to get into inflation in a moment. All right, and then we're going to talk about Bank of Canada predictions. So right now we've got more months of inventory that's been hanging around for a longer period than we've seen in a very, very long time. Okay, very, very long time. So, for example, and I don't have it up in front of me. It doesn't really matter. But Kitchener, so Tri-City, so Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge, London, St. Thomas. Everyone's over 3 months of inventory. Now, I've said this before, where listen, technically speaking, 1 to 3 months of inventory is generally a buyer, a seller's market. Okay, historically, not in the last 4 or 5 years, but historically, 1 to 3 months of inventory is a seller's market, which means there's very relatively low inventory. 3 to 5 months of inventory is a balanced market. And anything more than 5 is a buyer's market because there's too much inventory. Now, just to recap, months of inventory basically means if we stopped listing homes today on the board, how long would it take to sell out whatever is on the board? Okay, so months of inventory is a very, very key indicator. All right, so we're like 3-ish. But what's more important about this is we've been consistently 3-ish for the last couple of months. It's a big change, right? And I've said this earlier where I've got deals going on. They've all got conditions, right? Like people, it's a buyer's market in the world we're in today starts at 2.5 months of inventory because it's so what's the right word I'm looking for? It's so acute. Like there's so many buyers on the sidelines, and there's such high immigration and stuff like that. So we're seeing a lot of offers with conditions because it's basically a buyer's market. I had an offer come in today, guys, and I don't know, it had like 8 conditions. It was insane, right? So we're definitely seeing that right now, and it's changing the market. But I will say this: I don't think that's going to last much longer. Okay, and let me explain why I think we're just in a moment of time here. I'm just going to sip my coffee first. All right, so the reason why I don't think this is going to last too long, a few different reasons. Let me back this up with some statistics. All right, so where do I start with all the damn statistics? I got a lot of statistics here. So first thing is immigration. All right, this is a train that's just not slowing down. The immigration is not slowing down. Okay, we have statistics to back up the fact that probably our largest, the country that provides the largest number of immigrants right now to Canada is India. There's no surprise there. Okay, no secret. And a lot of these folks are coming in for the colleges, unfortunately they call them the diploma mills. Okay, there was a really sad marketplace. Was it Marketplace or one of the CBC specials talking about what's happening with folks that come in particular from India, and how they're sold just a bill of goods, right? And this is going to continue. I can't see the government following through on their commitment to slow down Indian or immigrants from India immigrating to Canada. There's a little bit of redundancy there, but I can't see that slowing down. There's a commitment. I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. Right? Not with an election coming. Not with an election coming. So if we constantly have this immigration that just will not slow down, the demand is going to be there. It's slowed down for now, but that demand is going to be there. Then let's just then add in the fact that we're probably going to go into a quantitative easing cycle from the Bank of Canada. So to be clear, what that means, he's probably going to start to drop rates. He already did once, right? He's going to drop rates a little bit. And he dropped 0.25% last month. He's going to announce this month his new one. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But by and large, I've already said this, we're going to need I think we're going to need a full percent drop to really move the dial. It's coming. It's coming. So we have record immigration. We have this month of inventory thing, which historically 3 months is really still a seller's market. And then you throw on top of that the fact that rates are going to start to come down. And let me give you one more number to support my hypothesis. Never good at science, but I know what hypothesis means. And we also have government, 5-year government bonds in general. And 5-year government bond is kind of the yardstick we all use. That has come down in general. Okay. Remember, bond prices is what feeds the fixed rate mortgage market. The decisions that Tiffy Boy makes a Bank of Canada is linked to the prime lending rate. Very different. Okay. They are mutually exclusive, whereby his choices may impact the bond market. So we're seeing those rates now start to come down a little bit more. So I think once we have the fuel for the fire to be rates decreasing, combined with record immigration not slowing down, and there's actually stuff to buy now. Once people get ramped up, I think stuff's going to move. And we have every single prediction to say, based on the fact that, if I can link in one more stat, single family homes, the permits are non-existent. They're just non-existent. There's no one building single family homes. If they are, it's minor. Throw that onto the fire, and the fact that in a year or two, we're not going to have very many single family homes to be bought. It's going to be a commodity. You're going to have a single family home. You're going to be like a king or queen, man, because you got a single family home. Nobody else has that. That's pretty big. Condos are, we have stats on condos. There's definitely housing starts on condos, and rentals have increased. Mainly because of the CMHC MLI program that really lends itself to help people buy or to build those multi-residential properties. But if we're talking just the regular family and single family homes, there's not going to be a lot out there. So if we take all those statistics and put them together, I think this 3 months of inventory is kind of slower type thing is just the tip of the iceberg. Then you throw in the fact that all these billions of dollars in mortgages, or trillions, or whatever the hell it is, all these mortgages coming up for renewal in the next few years, that's going to fuel it too. Because I think people are going to be wanting to downsize. When rates come down and their mortgages up for renewal, they're going to want to make a bit of a move. Nothing wrong with that. So put that whole puzzle together that I just broke down for you. I don't think we're going to be slow like this for much longer. I just don't. And then we can throw in some other things too. Every prediction right now is that condos are also going to be a hot commodity because they're not building any condos. We've got way too many. It's like we can't find a balance, right? So I look at this and I'm like, man, what the hell is going to happen, right? It's going to be, I still think it's going to be a situation where things have to balance out. And that might mean really this up and down next couple of years where all of a sudden it's busy, now it's not. It's busy, now it's not. It's busy for a few months, now it's not for a few months. I think it's going to be this kind of roller coaster of, you know what, we're coming to the end of a busy month or two, now is the time to take vacation. Like it's just going to be this weird time. But anyway, we'll see what happens. Now let's talk about Tiffy Boy and his band of merry men, as I like to call. You know what I like? I don't know what her name is. I'm so sorry, but I think she's a deputy governor. What's her name? What's her? Okay, look her up. Okay, but she's a lady that's always sitting right beside Tiff Macklin. I can't remember her name. I'm sorry, I've drawn a complete blank. Let me look it up. I feel horrible. Bank of Canada. Oh, who is this nice lady? Um, oh, is it Carolyn something? Might be Carolyn something. Oh, sugar. Let me see if I can find it. Anyway, I believe she's she. If you look at any picture, Bank of Canada, I think it's Carolyn something. She seems really nice, and she doesn't seem to take a lot of crap from people. I'm only mentioning this because she's been kind of in the background. And my comment here is, I mean, we got Disney Plus lady. The rumor is she's out. I think Trudeau is actually going to shuffle his cabinet this week, and the rumor is Disney Plus lady Chrystia Freeland is out, and see ya, good riddance, like goodbye. She's horrible, and not only because I guess of her of what she's done or her political whatever, but she's not very good in the public eye. Like there's more. I don't know. She's not whoever vetted her for public consumption should lose their job with her. Like she's not well spoken. Where Carolyn Rogers, I think it is. I might be wrong. Someone correct me. I believe it's Carolyn Rogers is the deputy Bank of Canada governor. I think I'm right there. If I'm wrong, let me know. But she seems really good. She would be a really good finance minister. I'm only basing that on how she talks. She might not even. I don't even know anything about her, but she just seems like she doesn't take any shit from people, which I think is pretty cool, to be honest with you. Anyway, where was I going with this whole point? It always ends up in a rant against Disney Plus lady, man. Like seriously, and it just feels good. So whatever. All right. Bank of Canada prediction. Okay. So here's the dealio. We everything he wanted, he got. Let me explain because I still got to talk about inflation. The inflation report completely connects with the Bank of Canada prediction. So I've said this many times before that when we're looking at inflation, CPI, the composition of CPI, we have to strip away mortgage interest. That is a battle that we are never going to win, at least for the next couple of years. So, one component of inflation is what is um, the increase on the cost of mortgage interest. And people have corrected me on this term, but you know what I'm talking about. The increase in inflation as a component of mortgage interest, or is it the other way around? Anyway, you know what I mean. So if we strip that away, and I'm going to give some numbers here, and I'm looking at a graph without an exact number, but you'll get the picture. So in April, mortgage interest cost alone accounted for almost a full percent of inflation. May, almost almost 1.5%, and in June it was almost 1.5%. So, for example, in June, total CPI inflation was 2.7. Sorry, I'm reading off a graph here as opposed to the exact number. Let me just get this. Yeah, so it was 2.7%, okay, in June. Now, important to note, because I like to make sure I'm setting this expectation, year over year, CPI grew, okay, Consumer Price Index grew year over year. But month to month, which is what more people look at because that's more current, it decreased. So from 2.9 to 2.7 was month over month, and then year over year, I believe it was, I might be wrong, please fact check me if I'm wrong on this. It actually increased a little bit year over year. I think it was by 0.1 or something like that. But everyone's looking at the month to month, okay? So 2.7% in June. Of that, I'm just doing math on my screen, 1.4% was everything but mortgage interest. So some quick math, 2.7 minus 1.4 is 1.3. So 1.3% was mortgage interest only. Tiffy Boy and everyone else knows we're not going to control this mortgage interest thing. We're just not, right? It's just something that's going to happen. Unless he keeps dropping rates, there's no way for that to slow down, right? We all know that, okay? So this is going to be something that's going to continue to increase inflation. But if we look at just the standard, everything else other than mortgage interest, which is not controllable anymore, we're at 1.3%. So I think he's going to take that. The fact that the jobs report was worse than expected, fantastic. Whoever thought we'd be celebrating unemployment, okay? Because that's what he needs. He needs more unemployment because that means businesses aren't spending money, which also means that customers aren't spending money, consumers aren't spending money. So therefore, the economy is slowing. Way high level, but you understand what I'm saying, all right? So what do I think is going to happen? I think, and this is going to get released the day before his announcement, okay? The day before. I think he's going to drop one more time, 0.25%. Baby steps, man. We are baby stepping through this recovery, okay? I don't think we're going to see anything crazy. I don't think we're going to see, some people are saying, oh my God, 0.5%. I don't freaking think so, right? I might be wrong, but he is still accounting for two huge screw ups on his part. One was the announcement to go spend your brains out because rates are going to be long or going to be low for a long time, and the other one was waiting too long to increase rates. I don't think he's got a misstep left in him. He's going to take this slow. He's going to err on the side of caution, or what's the right word? Make it worse on the side of caution. You know what I mean? But I think it's going to go super slow, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Okay, so that's what I think we're going to see. I think we're going to see 0.25%. Now, if he says we're not changing rates at all, I actually think that's what he has to do. And this is going to sound crazy, the right thing for him to do right now is not drop rates. Leave it one more month. I want to be real clear. What I think he's going to do and what I think he has to do are two very different things. I think he should leave it alone. And the reason for that is things are correcting. It sucks. Things suck right now. I get it. But that's what has to happen to correct this mess. So I think he needs to stay where he's at. I think he's going to give everyone 0.25% again. I don't know. What do you think? Love to hear in the comments. Up, down. You only got 2 or 3 days here to make a prediction, but I think that's what you need to consider, or that's what he needs to consider. Do I do the right thing? If he grows a set, okay, and makes up for the other two screw-ups, he won't change the rates in July. But I don't think that's what we're going to see from him. I just don't, right? We got other issues too around. He does anyway. Our Canadian dollar is going to become a bloody peso pretty soon against the American dollar, right? I don't want to go too much into that right now, but if he keeps dropping rates, our dollar is going to weaken against the American dollar, and that's a whole other podcast, which I really have to find an economist to come on and explain all that. I know how it works, but I couldn't explain it properly. Like, you guys would think I'm an idiot if you don't already, but anyway. Okay. What else? You know what? Oh man, we're at half an hour. Damn. What else did I want to talk about today? The gas, the appraisal, the inflation. Okay. Hey, you know what? Let's just take a minute to talk about this. So, because again, the title of this podcast really is finance, life, and business. So I just wanted to share this because, as you guys know, I'm self-employed. I'm a mortgage agent and the whole bit, and I have assistants and I have team and the whole bit. And I will make this comment: if you're a business owner, and I've done this before, okay, where I've taken a business, when I was with RBC, right, and one thing, you know what, when I left RBC, there was nothing bad, nothing, I didn't get chased out, I wasn't unhappy, I just, time for a change, that's all it was. RBC was incredible to me. I had probably some of the best managerial experiences or as an employee to a manager that I've had in my whole career. I've had some great managers. Like I've had some really good managers. and they're on that list. And I think um, what they allowed is they really allowed you to run a business, which is fantastic, right? You want to be, if you are in sales, you want to be working with folks that are truly entrepreneurial, okay? And being an RBC mortgage specialist at the time was definitely that. It would allow you to be entrepreneurial under a label, under a brand, okay? So when I moved on my own, what really excited me is listen, guys, just call me what I am. I'm not real good at following instructions, right? I am the typical. I did a Myers Briggs evaluation thing. It's like a personality test years ago, and I never forgot this. My personality is if it ain't broke, let's break it. And yep, that's me. Right? If it ain't broke, let's freaking break it because I like to explore. I like to learn, and I also like to learn from my own mistakes. Unfortunately, my daughter has also inherited that. One would say, I would say gift. Others would say stubbornness, but to each their own. So, the one thing I would say as a business owner that when I was in my previous role, I waited too long to scale and to hire assistants and to hire help. And I remember when I first got my first assistant, I think in 2015 or 2016, incredible lady. Her name was Pat, and I hired her part time. And it was like a breath of fresh air because I had somebody that could support me to help grow my business, continue to help grow my business. Then I went from a part time to a full time, and now here I am on my own. I have two individuals that are kind of they're part time. They do different functions. Their jobs just split up. But I will say in the broker channel, believe it or not, there's a lot less paperwork and other things to have to deal with than when you are with a bank, right? So it's a little bit different that way. But regardless, the reason why I've started this is, started this conversation is if you're a business owner, I'm now going through this again. Don't be afraid to scale. Don't be afraid to take risks. I'm about to take another big risk in my business. I have two incredible assistants right now. I'm taking a risk where I'm hiring another assistant, not to do the same what they do, the existing, but I'm now bogged down with a lot of administrative items that I need to have someone else help me with, right? There's no way you can't grow your business if you keep just doing all the same work and it keeps growing on you. I was talking to my wife about this, who I don't spend as much time with. Like, I look at that part. I don't spend as much time with my wife right now because I'm always doing this job, right? This business. Look at me last week. I didn't do the podcast, right? I missed the episode. I was tired. I was exhausted. I slept so much this week for like 3 hours a night. So I say it that way because it's like when I crashed and I had to go again. I slept so much, but that 3 or 4 hours I got of sleep, that's all I got, right? And so, it's one of those things where when you're a business owner, you have to be successful business owners are business owners that take risks. Think about that for a second. Anyone who's in business knows you got to take a risk. If you're going to grow your business, you're going to meet your goals, you got to take some risks. And I'm doing that right now. Okay? So if you're a business owner out there, listen, don't be afraid to scale. Don't be afraid to grow. Don't be afraid to take that risk. You are a business owner because you're different than everyone else anyway, right? You're not afraid to take those risks. I mean, I've taken risks, calculated risks. I'm not, jumping off buildings, but yet, but it's I haven't been afraid to hire people, but it's scary. It is so scary when it happens. Like huge scary, right? So anyway, we'll see how it all goes. I just wanted to share that. If you're a business owner, man, don't be afraid to scale. It just you can't. All right, it's how you grow, and it's why you're different and special than everyone else. That's what I tell myself. All right, that's it. That's enough. We've gotten through all the stuff. All right, so don't forget, listen to the next week's podcast. Madeline and Lacey are going to be on with me. I'm sure, just like when Lacey was on alone with me on the podcast, it'll be a complete shit show. But there'll be a lot of really cool stuff to talk about. All right. Anyway, until next time, it's been great. I hope this live thing went okay. I hope no one's mad at me online. I'm not even reading the comments. I think there might be some chat comments in there, but I'm not reading them, so whatever. All right. As you know how we always end all of our shows, keep fit, have fun. Remember, 5-star reviews, doesn't take anything else. 5 stars, okay? On Apple Podcasts, social media, just give me 5 stars on everything, man. So if you listen to this podcast, you should be giving me 5 stars. Like, what are we even talking about? All right, get lost. Talk to you soon.